What's going on, STR Nation? Welcome back to another episode of the Short Term Rental Secrets Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Shogren, here as always with my main man and brother from another mother, Mr. Emmanuel Pani. What's up, E?
My brother, so good to see you, man. This last couple of weeks have been interesting, in terms of everything that is going on. September and October in Florida is always some exciting times with the storms.
It's interesting, like you guys got hit, but it wasn't super bad, right?
Yeah, no, we just got a couple days of like rain and winds, but not as bad. I mean, if you look at videos for like the Tampa area, definitely not a fun time. But definitely nothing like some other people.
Yeah, like Asheville and some of that North Carolina area, man. I saw something, it was 29 inches of rain. Like I didn't even think that that was possible. Like, think of that. It's almost 3 feet of rain.
Yeah,
That's
that's wild.
crazy. Absolutely
That is
crazy.
That is wild. So as always, I feel very thankful and very grateful. Big reminder of like when Mother Nature kind of comes in, there's really nothing we can do, and so we have to like rack up our our brownie points when we can and be good people and be kind to each other in the hopes that that kind of helps us out. Which is kind of a good lead to our guest today.
Yeah, this was a cool conversation. So we have Debbie Todd on the show, which we'll bring on here in just a second, and she's got a cool story. I mean, she's just a regular person, normal person that got into this game a few years ago, started getting into some properties and just felt this calling to find a way to give back a little bit. And it's turned into this really cool movement and it's helping out a lot of people, right? Whether it's I don't want to give too much away, but it's very eye opening. And I know for me, I always feel I don't talk a lot about it, but I do love giving back both financially and with my time in certain charitable organizations. And this was just such an easy way for people to get involved if you haven't been doing that with your business. And so, yeah, man, it's just really cool. And it's funny to see all the pieces connect with a lot of people that we know, right? Like Jody over in Australia with Hospitable Host and how she got connected, and now Debbie's in the book, and now they have this whole movement going on. And so this is just a feel good episode for your commute to work or at the gym right now to just hear somebody's story and maybe inspire you to take some action and help some people. So without further ado, let's jump into the episode. Welcome Debbie Todd to the show.
What's going on, STR Nation? This week we welcome Debbie Todd to the show. Hi, Debbie.
Hello.
So tell us a little bit about you, and then we'll go into the specific of why you're on the show with us. But give us about bit of your rundown in STRs and how you have wound up here.
Yeah, my name is Debbie Todd. I live in Columbus, Ohio. My husband and I own the Woodlands at Hocking Hills. We are in Hocking Hills, which is about an hour from Columbus. Got into the short term rental business by accident, just wanted a place to get away with our family that was kind of close to home. It was around COVID, so it just absolutely boomed and we fell in love. And I love the hospitality part. I'm a physical therapist. Still work part time as a PT. And I love people. And so we got into it that way and then really enjoyed including our kids because we bought places that needed a lot of renovation. So that was how we were able to do it and got our kids involved, whether they liked it or not. And then just really included them. And then it just kind of grew from there. We have two current places. One sleeps 18, one sleeps 12, and we are in the process of doing a new build, which we've never done before. So again, including our kids and all of it. And for our second property, when we started renting it out, we were about 5, we renovated, rented it out, and I told my husband, I said, "I think our places are bigger than us." I said, "I love the fact that we can provide these opportunities for families and friends to come share memories and times, but I think it's bigger than that." And then a whole nother realm of the hospitality came upon us.
So walk us through that. What was that evolution? When you say this whole
So
other world, what are we talking
this
about?
whole other world, and it's kind of like this newborn passion of mine. Although I think always had a passion for giving back and helping people, again, obviously being a physical therapist. But I think growing up, my family, my parents, we did a lot of volunteer work in the church. We volunteered, different places. So as we had kids, we kind of did the same thing. We would do Meals on Wheels. We would take them to food kitchens. very important part of raising our kids, just to kind of, I guess, with any of us, just remembering to think outside of ourselves because we get so busy with life. So that's kind of, we've always kind of done that as a family. So with these rentals, I was like, how can we use this platform as a way to give back? So the first thing we did, this was about 2 years ago, we again included our kids. We had our kids each pick a charity that meant something to them. So they researched it, they figured out what they wanted to pick. When we decided as a family that we were going to give back 5% of each booking to one of those three charities. But the fun thing is we let our guests decide. So we reach out to our guests and say, hey, our kids picked these charities. Where would you like your 5% to go? So that's kind of how it started. And just, it was almost ended up being, we're a very competitive family. So the kids, they're like, woo, I get the donation. Oh, I get the, which was fun. But then it's also brought really cool communication between guests, their stories, their connections. My son picked Special Olympics. My middle daughter picked St. Jude's, and then my youngest daughter has a love for animals, so she picked the Humane Society. And just we've had some really cool guest experiences just through that, which has been really neat.
Oh man, I love you guys already. So give us so this is where the beginning of this is. And obviously, like I would think in terms of guest experience and satisfaction in delivering a unique experience. I have never heard of anybody that does this, especially in the terms of like people do the charity, but you get to choose. So this fact that you guys give them the options to pick, it's also super cool. Has that reflected in terms of like guest satisfaction, guest recommendations, direct OTA bookings? Does that reflect? Have you seen a reflection when it comes to that?
We have, which has been, again, we weren't expecting that, but pretty much most of our reviews have something about the give back. We have now opened it up to, we have 8 different initiatives that we use, ways of giving back in our cabins. We have a wall, a make a difference wall, and it's different ways guests can, include. And they don't have to either. That's the neat thing. You can get as involved or not. But we have lots of families, so we provide ways that everyone can get involved. We have coloring sheets they're local coloring sheets in our community that we leave for guests, and if they color them and write a little message, we deliver them to the local nursing home. Super simple, but just a way that they can get involved and feel like they're more invested in the community, and you get more like-minded guests. Another really cool thing that, again, we've now kind of opened it up to the community. We do a food bank food drive. We provide brown bags with a letter. And how many times do you go to your place after and people leave all these non-perishables? Well, now it's a bag that they can leave them in, and then we take it to the local food bank. And people have been like, "Thank you so much. We didn't want to take this home, and now we feel better that we're leaving it." So the response has just been awesome. And what, again, not expected, but and I say when things go wrong, obviously we want nothing to go wrong during a guest stay. But when those things happen, I have noticed the communication and the understanding has been so much softer and understandable. They just, it's like you build this kind of rapport before, and they're just it's just been really neat to see the responses from it.
I love that, and I can totally see why that is, you know what I mean? There's sometimes we get a bad rap as, short-term rental Airbnb hosts and operators that, "Oh, it's just a money grab, and these are just greedy people, and they're slumlords," and all this other stuff, but when you tie it back to giving back, people tend to give you a little bit more grace when that happens. Not that that's why you do it, but I think inevitably good energy brings back good energy. So that's amazing. Now, has evolved, and you ended up getting involved with Jody and the Hospitable Host community. So walk us through that and what you guys are planning next. I think it's really exciting and can help a lot more people.
Oh, this is just, it's so crazy to even be talking about this right now because this has been a dream in my head that I didn't understand for like 2 years, and I would tell my husband about it. I'm like, "I'm not sure what it's gonna be bit." He's like, "How?" I'm like, "I don't know." So what was really neat is finding these I feel like so many times, we've heard people of when you network and meet people and just how opportunity, it's just so important. And it's hard to get yourself out there, but the opportunity came up to be an author and a hospitable host that we're all familiar with here. Um, so wrote our story, and it was very important to get I loved being able to put our story, our give back journey story in print because our biggest why is our kids. Our legacy, what does that mean? What does that look like? And probably before 2 years ago, I would think of legacy as, more financial, which it is, but now I see it even more of the whole, looking outside yourself and how can we use what we have because we're so fortunate, to give back. So putting our story, on Hospitable Host, was very cool, very neat to out kinda even, like I think it helped me clarify and have more clarity of exactly what we wanted to do. And then, after it was published, I talked to Jody. I said, "Hey, I would like we've done this within our own rental. I've had multiple hosts reach out and say, how can we too get involved?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I'm not sure yet." And then, included our local community and was able to get people on board. So I'm like, "Can we make this bigger? How does this look?" So, with lots of back and forth with Jody from Australia, we have just recently initiated the Hocking Hills Impact Community that the different things that we've learned through this process is, not everybody can give back financially, which is okay. Sometimes people can give back through their resources, meaning maybe, during the slower time stays or maybe through things that they purchase. Or sometimes, maybe people want to get involved with their time or they don't have enough time. So they need it to be very easy. So while we were developing this, those were the things we had in mind. So there are multiple ways that you can also use your real estate or short-term rental, and this is for property owners, it can for co-host, property management owners, businesses. Is that you can do a donation pledge, and you decide what works for your business, and we revisit the 5% every year because it changes. So you can make a pledge of, "Hey, I'm gonna donate this to your charity of choice." It kinda just gets you thinking outside the box. There is a give back stay opportunity that you can sign up that you will, give back so many nights a year. And if an opportunity arises, which, you look at everything that's going on right now, we can connect the opportunity to the person and looking to give back stays. Because I feel like right now there's so many great things out there, but you just don't know where to look. So what we're trying to make it very easy for people, a one-stop shop of, "Hey, this is what I want to do. How can I do it?" And then we are going to provide eventually a storefront where you can purchase things on the Hospitable Host website, and a portion of that will go back to charities that provide resources for families in need. So it's just, again, this is I could talk about this for days. But but that's just the beginning of just getting people to start thinking about their business in a different way. And not that we don't want to do it, it's just sometimes life just starts passing us by. So I kind of want to slow it down a little bit and get people thinking and then make it easy for people to get involved.
Love that. Love that. So I'm curious, we were talking offline a little bit about this, and for me, I love building businesses and I love, the excitement, and it's like a game, really. And one thing that I don't talk a lot about, at least publicly, is some of the charities that I'm involved in on the back end. And for me, I find that I get a ton of fulfillment out of that. And I don't talk about it just because I feel like I'm not doing it for that reason. But every once in a while I'll share that, and I feel like I should share it more because it tends to inspire people. And when I hear your story, you're inspiring people and you're like, "Wow, I never even thought of that. Like this would be awesome to get involved in." And, at the beginning for a lot of people, you're getting into this business cuz you're trying to increase your income, maybe you're trying to get out of a job, whatever your situation is. And then at a certain point, you know, you have an opportunity like this to get involved and to give back. And I've always found personally that anytime I do that, whether it's donating my time, donating money, donating whatever, I always get this intrinsic value. This you just feel good, right? And it's easy to get sucked into the hustle and bustle of business, but when you can carve out time to do stuff like this or carve out some funds or money, whatever, it just fills you up more. And for me, it gets me excited to keep growing and going bigger so that I can continue to do that on the back end, which I don't talk about publicly a lot, but that is part of the driver to keep going bigger.
Well, and, including it in our decisions, like, the products we buy, it's so I mean, we just did this huge toilet paper purchase, and I'm like, "This is awesome. Look what's giving back." Like, because with 8 products that we use in our cabins, we sponsor a child through Compassion International. And it's so fun because I'm like, "Oh, we just spent that, but a portion of that is going to sponsor this child." So it kinda makes you look at your business a little differently. And it's interesting you said that because my daughter about 8 months ago, and it was such a good question. She said, "Mom, why are you always talking about the whole give back, like, on social media?" And I was like, "Hmm." It was kind of like a good, like, "Why am I talking about this?" And it's like I knew, but it was just a good reminder of, I told her, I said, "There's a couple reasons." Because I want more people to get involved, because the more people we can get on board, the bigger impact we can make. And then also it shares about organizations that people don't know about, which in order for people, and then I've shared stuff and people are like, "Do you know about this organization?" I'm like, "I don't, but I would love to learn." So I think it's, that fine line of I don't want it to seem like, "Oh, look at us. Look what we're doing. We're giving back." Like it's more of this like, "Oh my gosh, be a part of this with us," because again, it's that fulfillment beyond it's just you can't even explain it. And I tell people I've never been so busy. And I say busy in a very productive, not like a, task here and there, but I have never been so fulfilled. I just feel like it's kind of like that purpose and everyone has that and it's where you're finding, how can you incorporate that in what you're doing and what you love, but even on a bigger scale. So interesting. Yeah. My daughter she kind of called me out, but it was a good call out.
Well, it helps, and E, I'll turn over to you in a second, but I feel like it's very timely right now with the recent hurricane that had some serious devastation for a lot of people. And I know a lot of our mastermind members, had a lot of damage to properties and they're, making sure guests are okay and handling a lot of craziness right now. And by you, building that momentum and being able to help more people, one instance is a lot of people need places to go right now. And a lot of people that have decided to say donate a week at their property or whatever. Now you have a database of like, hey, we can actually help a lot of people because I've been putting the word out there about this. And these people need help now, right? As opposed to being reactive for a lot of this stuff.
Right. So yeah, that is my hope that we can create that and we can be that place for people to, hey, or do you know of any other just for all the reasons, right? Like, so yes, that is my dream.
So I love because for those of you that have read any of the Hospitable Host books, this is exactly who we are as a community, right? We're people that like enjoy hosting besides the money, besides everything else. For me, taking it very like honestly, this is like it's been such an interesting show because it has got my wheels turning in terms of like how can I give, right? And I think if you're like me, like do you always have this idea of like, oh, I should give more, right? There's always that should in the back of your mind, and then there's just this hard time in like how do you do it, right? So if you're somebody like me, this show is kind of telling you like, look, it's not that complicated. There is ways to do it, and it's always like a who know how. So in this particular case, it's like, who do I know that has something like what Davey has now that can help me with this? Going back to what you were saying, right? Like this sounds like it's been an idea that was given to you from above, right? And you've been working on for a while. Give us kind of like what is the dream? Like what is the long-term vision of what you're doing now that you kind of have gotten it out of your cabins into the world?
Yeah, my dream is that it just the word gets out there. I right now it's so new, which is it's got to start somewhere, right? So the goal is to, if we can make this into a, which, a nonprofit that we are the go to the Hospitable Host Impact Community. That if you're a co-host, if you're a property owner, management company or a vendor that wants to kind of get involved through sponsorship, like I want to be this one-stop shop that this is where you go if you need assistance or, and I'm talking with, property hosts, or if you know of someone, or if you want to get more into your local community, but I don't know how to even start that. I gotcha, because we are actually right in the process at the same time of doing that in ours. And I would love to have chapters off of this, of being able to have this global community, but then how can we affect locally too? Because I think that is so important. Again, especially we're an hour away, which, isn't too far, but we're not there every day. So trying to figure out the needs because we're very fortunate to be doing very well in this community, but it's also a community that needs assistance. So what does that look like from afar? How can and again, what I've noticed with my people want to. They want I mean, I it's so many times I've put this over to I've kind of like, I don't know what else to go with it. Like there's nothing else I can do. And then wouldn't you know, I get a message or a call of someone saying, "Hey, I saw your website and, how do you give back?" And I'm like, "Doggone it, here it comes again." So, it's just I think that getting the word out there and providing opportunities for people in different ways, locally and globally, just to make a crazy cool impact in real estate. I just think yeah.
I love that. And speaking of finding it, what is the website? Where can people get involved?
If you go to hospitablehost.com, there is toward the top is a give back, and you can click on it, and it tells you all the opportunities to give back. Again, we're just in the process. I think the website's going to be changing a little bit here soon, but still a good way to kind of get on there, kind of start thinking. If anything, just kinda get you thinking outside the box, and I am like, I want all the ideas. So even if people have, "Hey, what about this?" Shoot them to me. There's an email on there, you can email us. We are at hhgivesback.com and, shoot us some products that you love on Amazon and, some ideas you might have. One that was really cool that we did last Christmas, and we're gonna do it again this Christmas, and this is more on a local guest platform, is my middle school daughter at the time, she wanted to have 20 of her closest friends over for Christmas for a big Christmas party. And I was like, "Oh, really?" So we went to one of our cabins and we decided we had the kids make blessing bags, or some people call them homeless bags. And the kids went around, we made 150 bags of these, and we very simple, we just did Ziploc bags. You can put anything in them. We put tissues, chapstick. I mean, you can put anything in it. And we had the kids take a couple of them home and put them in their car. Well, now we leave them for guests to take with them. So there's a sign that says, "Thank you for staying with us. Please take this blessing bag, put it in your car, and if you find someone in need or homeless, pass it on." And the amount I've had multiple hosts stay at our place, and they're like, "We're gonna do this at our place." And then we've had, guests just say, "We started doing this as a family." I think so many times we think it has to be this big ordeal thing, and it doesn't. It's just simple things that we're already leaving things for guests to take, or we're already purchasing. Well, why not do that and give back along with it? So
I love that. I love that. It's just like leaving these breadcrumbs, right? I remember our head of sales was in town and we went out to dinner one night and he had a bunch of leftovers and he knew he wasn't going to eat them, at the hotel. So on the way back, he's like, "Hey, let's find, somebody on the street that I could give this to." So like we drove around, he gave it to somebody and I was like, "Man, I never even thought to do that before." Right? And so now I get meal service every week. So if I don't finish them, there's a place, locally where I find that a lot of homeless people kind of hang out and I'll just go drop them off, and that all just sparked because I witnessed somebody else do something, right? So there's this chain reaction effect that can happen, which is super cool, which is amazing.
Well,
So,
we have such
uh,
a blossom community. Like, when I first got into this, I didn't know because you're kind of like on this island by yourself. And, the more podcasts you listen to, the more people you meet, the more, we have an amazing community and really smart, very talented people that I'm like, okay, well, then let's just take it to the next level, right?
I love that. Well, I want to be respectful of your time. And I just want to say before we get into the last question, you're super inspiring. I love this story. You're helping a lot of people and you're going to continue helping a lot more people. Hopefully, the listeners from this podcast take some tidbits and get involved with you. And if nothing else, just ask yourself, what are some little things that you could do that would go a long way to just give back, right? We're very fortunate, especially in this country, for God's sakes, the saying first world problems, right? When you're having a tough day, people having some real tough days. So always perspective is everything. So again, thank you for that. And excited to see where you take everything. So the last question that we like to ask all of our guests is, what is your number one secret to success with short-term rentals?
Number one secret to success. I would say, oh goodness, there's so many. I would probably say that the first one that comes to mind right away is communication. I feel like I feel like it needs to be bigger than that. But when communicating with guests before things happen and just giving them input, kind of finding that sweet spot of not being too much, but enough, I think has just been, I think that's our secret sauce. It's just being that communication, from check-in and even throughout checkout, maybe even 6 months out, just keeping in communication, I think is I think it's been huge.
Love it. Love it. Well, Debbie, thank you so much for coming on here and sharing your story and inspiring us and the listeners. And I look forward to following your journey as you guys continue to grow and build this thing out.
Thanks for letting me share.
For listeners out there, hope you guys have an amazing week and we will talk to you soon. Hey, STR Nation, if you enjoyed this episode, please make sure to hit that subscribe button and leave us a review. And in the comments, let us know what topics you want us to cover on upcoming episodes, and we'll make sure to get that in the books for you. And if you really want to learn how to launch, automate, and scale your short-term rental business, if you want to go deeper, then check out our free masterclass at strsecrets.com.